Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Overbite Podcast, episode number 2. I am once again Mikey Palacios. Once again, I've always been Mikey Palacios Buffin.
I don't think that's changed recently.
I was going to say I'm once again joined by Andrew Finelli. How are you today, Andrew?
Hello, I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm
Mikey,
doing great. Oh, still Mikey. Yeah. We actually had some news this week. Surprise, surprise. Before we get into it, someone had calculated on Reddit. I read that so Rascal was announced by the Fusion finally. It was talked about for a while, leaked, all that. People kind of knew it was coming, but it was finally confirmed that Rascal is going to the Philadelphia Fusion. And someone on Reddit had calculated that before Rascal was announced, it was the longest ever in the history of the Overwatch League that we've gone without a roster announcement, like ever.
We got a few this week, honestly.
We did, yeah. But yeah, Rascal's going to the Fusion. It's coming amid reports that a couple of Fusion players, particularly EQO and Funny Astro, are having some visa issues. So it could be partially with that, but also, Rascal's just... he's good enough to be in the Overwatch League. So
Rascal's amazing, and Rascal can fill any role you want, right? Like he's played support in the Overwatch League, he's played DPS in the Overwatch League. Shit, I'm sure if they threw him on some off tank, you'd be fine too. But I think hopefully they won't have too many more visa issues. Funny Astro's been here before, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But and EQO is from Israel, right? Funny Astro, of course, being from Britain. I think EQO is from Israel.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So those are kind of two friendly nations. You'd think it'd be okay. But
yeah. Hopefully we can get it fixed.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be good. I would be really disappointed to not be able to see Funny Astro doing his thing this year.
Sure, you would be.
He's on Brig. We could possibly get some more Reddit Lucio in the Overwatch League. Always,
of course.
So we got Rascal to the Fusion. That's going to give them another DPS. Like you said, they had EQO, and then they lost Ivy. I remember.
Yeah, they lost Ivy. They still have Carpe, of course, too. So.
Carpe being Carpe. Your classic. The MVP that's never going to be MVP, which is so sad.
He was last year.
He was what MVP? No, I don't think he was.
Was he not the MVP last year?
No, that was Fleta.
The year before that, I meant.
Maybe. I thought that was alright. I thought the man who shall not be named.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Carpe is probably the best player who's never been named MVP, Mr. Winnable. But okay. So Philly announcing just more people to their stacked roster. I think Philly's going to still be one of those top tier teams. Awesome news for Philly. And the other news that came out was that there was this huge discussion with streamers and pro players talking about this experimental tournament that I think that they're going to be doing. And it was with the devs, actually. And the devs were talking about how they want the experimental tournament to be run, even in terms of specific hero changes. And there were some interesting ones in there. Did I catch your eye?
Yeah, there was definitely interesting ones. I also, after and before it came out, people's expectations about what this tournament were just totally off, in my opinion. I saw so many people being like, oh my god, why would they meme this? They had a chance to go in and make this to fix the game. Why would, if the Overwatch devs wanted someone else to come in and fix the game, why would they pick a bunch of streamers? People's expectations were actually that these changes were going to make it into the live version of the game, which was never the plan. The plan was only to have a fun tournament that was kind of supposed to be a meme, and people were taking it so seriously. I saw so many posts on the competitive Overwatch subreddit where people were like, oh my god, these changes are ridiculous. I can't believe it. No, they were never meant to make it into the game. But lots of changes. Some interesting ones. I guess we might as well just go down the list and talk about all of them, I guess.
Sure, why not?
Ana, so her max ammo was increased from 12 to 14, and Nano Boost, this is the fun one. Nano Boost can now be applied to herself, which I love. If this ever made it into a live game, that would be terrible because
it'd be broken. No Ana in solo queue would ever nano anybody ever again.
Yeah. But yeah, for this tournament, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I am very interested to see if anyone ever actually does it.
I think you've seen comps where like you want to run an Ana, but there really isn't like a super good nano target.
Yeah.
But usually the comps that are familiar will run an Ana to take advantage of that nano boost.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's only going to be used in the case where like a Zen would transfer himself, right? It's to like save your own butt. Give yourself that healing. So because it does 250 healing, it'll full healer. Give her the 50% damage reduction, and it'll double her damage, which is 150% damage, right? It's not double.
It's 150. Yeah,
150% damage, which will take her shots from 70 to 105, allowing her to two-shot 200 health heroes. So if there's a far in the air, I very well might pop nano on myself. To just two-shot Farah or two-shot of Mercy.
Yeah,
that would have been that would be an interesting scenario to do it, especially if there's nobody else on your team. There was a couple scenarios I remember in Overwatch League where there was a Farah in the air, and it was up to the Ana to actually go ahead and get rid of them. So unless you're Kareev and can sleep in a Farah out of the air 6 times. The nano boost will definitely be helpful there, and of course you're just gonna have streamers and pro players love playing Ana, so they're gonna suggest to Ana. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Next one is Ash's dynamite damage reduction, which I guess is also a nerf to Bob generation, but I think it's just gonna make Ash more focused on hitting shots as opposed to hitting dynamite.
Yeah. I think some interesting, if I can find the Reddit post about it, there were some interesting ones proposed for Ash, but none of them went through except for that one, which fair, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The next one is while you look that up, the next one we have is Baptiste's regenerative burst reduced from 75 HPS to 65 HPS. Fair, his regenerative burst does a lot.
It does, yeah.
And Immort no longer protects teammates to a minimum of 20% health. The minimum health has now been changed to 1. Fair. Because now
I like that.
A Reinhardt could never go below 100 health, and 100 health. Not even 100 health. It was 105 health. 110 health. 110 health, which is it's still a decent amount of health. That's like more than saving his life, right? Like making him 1 is another thing. It changes the Immort from the fact that it used to be able to just heal you to now it just exclusively prevents you from dying, right? It'll leave you on 1 health. And so that used to be like something that like Baps would do or like you didn't want to throw it when people were just about to hit 20% health. You would throw it at 20% health to save their lives and actually get you that free healing on top of the regenerative burst and stuff like that you're going to pop to heal people in that. So interesting enough change. I'd like to see how it plays and if it makes BAP any weaker.
I would be interested to see if he still gets played as much. I don't think he's very meta right now to begin with. So
it depends on the team. If the team's running something more bunkery, they'll throw a BAP in there. But I've seen a lot of rush comps now, and in that case, you definitely want like a Lucio Ana,
the Ash change, by the way, that I was thinking that was not voted for was this was J1, by the way, proposed the Ash changes, and the BAP changes was proposed by Fran. He wanted the Dynamite to be unable to be matrixed by D.Va, which got voted down for obvious reasons. That's nutty.
No.
Yeah. The Bastion one I think is very interesting. The self-repair, it now increases his movement speed overall by 25%. So while you're healing yourself, I guess the idea is to help you get, to safety easier. As you're repairing yourself and running away, you just move faster. So trying to make Bastion more viable. There were some other ones that were proposed that were interesting. For specifically one that was, he had a jump boost while in sentry mode, that made him jump higher, like exo boots basically. So yeah, that one was voted down. Those were proposed by Alan Guy, who I think is a Korean caster. But yeah, yeah,
but practically for the game, hell no.
yeah, true. The speed boost is interesting though.
The change to that speed boost makes me think that he's kind of like more of like a hit and run kind of guy. Like he's gonna set up, get a lot of damage, as soon as he takes damage, transform, heal, and just run to cover. Which like is not in the lore what Bastion is like basically, or never has been really what Bastion's about. Bastion has been about like, let me sit in a position and hold this shit down.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an interesting change. I'm open to it.
I
don't know how it'll play or if it'll make him useful, but we'll see.
True.
And then we have the Bridget changes. Brig changes. Inspire healing to teammates removed when Brig is eliminated. I think this is fine. I think this is something that I didn't even know didn't exist in the main game, and definitely should have existed in the main game already. Every other healer, when you die, whatever you were doing goes away, sans an ult, right? Like Ana can nano boost and then die. Lucio can beat and then die. But other than that, like there's no other healer in the game who maybe Bap's regenerative burst, but nobody else's healing continues after their death.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's totally fine. Especially because Brig's Inspire lasts an extended period of time.
For sure, yeah.
Diva's changes, the booster's duration increases from 2 to 3 seconds.
So she can just fly for longer, basically, which was kind of fun.
Isn't the cooldown on her boosters 4 seconds?
Yeah, it is.
So Diva can just fly now, eh?
Yep, pretty much.
As long as you get high enough that like you're not gonna fall 1 second below the ground, you won't hit the ground, whatever.
Yeah, Poco, he really tried, man. He really tried to get some stuff through. First, he went out there. He wanted a decrease on the self-destruct cooldown by 20%, and then that was voted down. And then he came back with the greatest counter offer of all time, which was, okay, you don't like the 20%. What if we reduced it by 25%? And that was voted down. Then he came back with another counter offer that was like, how about 30%? He just kept going up. I don't know why. He also had wanted Accretion, the Rock from Sigma, and Immort, of course, to be able to be Matrixed. That was voted down. And he was also wanted to be unable to be stunned while using Call Mech, so the Baby Diva ultimate, basically. He wanted you'd not be able to be stunned out of it. That was also voted down. And he then, at the very end, a last-ditch effort, he asked for self-destruct cooldown to be reduced by 5%, and that was voted down as well. So Poco, he really tried, man, but he only got that one through.
Poco, man. What a meme. I love that, man. Oh.
Honestly. Doomfist, nothing happened, yeah.
Fine. Frig Doom.
There were... Soon tried to get a couple things through. He wanted Rising Uppercut to get a second charge, and but as a result, he wanted the damage to be lowered.
No!
Yeah, that was interesting. I think Doom soon just wants to be able to play Doomfist as just a pure flanker, just to get him into ridiculous spots. So
I mean, that makes sense coming from soon.
Yeah.
But Doomfist in general, my opinion on Doom is that he's just like an unfun character to play and to play against. Because if you
playing Doom is so much fun.
Really? Because like I feel like playing Doomfist is mostly like I'm doing nothing. Now I'm doing everything. All right, back to doing nothing.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. He's
like you gotta fill that time in between like rotating to a setup position or performing your cooldown management and stuff like that to like actually going into attacks with just like random poke with a shotgun that does no damage. Cool.
Yeah,
but on the receiving end of it, he's not fun either, right? On the receiving end, he's just like, I play Ana, right? And so I have the, I mean, call me biased if you want, but with Ana, it's sleep the doom or I'm dead. And he's probably getting out. There's not really a whole lot I can do in general against this. I can try to position against it, but doom rollouts are just insane. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true. Echo as well, she got a bit of a nerf. This was Fleta proposing this. Originally, Fleta proposed that Echo should leave duplicate with the same HP as she started, but what was instead passed was in the change, it was something other than full HP. That's what they agreed on in the actual video, and then that was decided to be half health instead of full, which I think is fair. I think leaving duplicate with half or with full health is kind of nutty, because you could just start duplicate. I mean, I did it all the time. You start duplicate on 1 HP and you leave on full HP. Yeah. But at the same time, this half health thing doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because, okay, so if you start duplicate on full health, you're going to get reduced to half health when you leave.
I would say maybe it's just floored at half health.
No, it's just you leave at half health, period, no matter what. Yeah.
All right.
It's very odd to me.
We'll see how it goes. Genji has alternate fire spread reduced from 9 to 8, so a little bit tighter of your fan blades. And then his Dragon Blade, when Genji gets a kill during his ultimate, the duration is increased by 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah. His shurikens also have a tighter spread, and the other thing he actually proposed but was already implemented into the game, actually two things: the recovery time and the Dragon Blade cost increase. He proposed both of those because it's recorded before that last patch, and then they're out anyway. So Sparkle is Oracle, I guess. But yeah, the Dragon Blade increase by 1 second is interesting. Because
this is just gonna be a Battle Blade tournament. What do you mean?
Yeah, true. It's honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess if you get kills early, it can make you easier to get kills later, is the idea.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of really good Genji players won't need the increased time, really. I mean, if you get a Nano Blade and you get 2-3 picks off of it, which you have plenty of time to do most of the time, I mean, you've won that fight already. You don't need more time.
You're right. Yeah, it'll just make it so that, it's easier to get a team kill, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Hanzo as well got some pretty nutty buffs. This was J1 again, who is a streamer in Korea, I believe. So he also wanted to have passed, this got voted down, he wanted the Dragon Strike arrow projectile. So, when you fire Dragon Strike, it starts off as an arrow, which is a part that can be eaten by a Diva Matrix. He wanted that to be removed. He just wanted it to start as the dragon, which was voted down. But what did pass is the dragon itself has an increased speed of 20%. The damage was also increased by 20%, and the distance before the dragon forms, so basically the distance that the arrow flies, was cut in half from 10 meters to 5 meters. So basically, they went along with what I think a lot of people in the community feel, that Dragon Strike is a useless ultimate unless you're shooting it into a grav. They're giving it value now, so I like it, honestly.
I mean, for those of you listening and not watching us on YouTube or on a stream, my entire face during Mikey reading those changes was, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? Because I love this.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Dragon Strike is pretty useless. It's easy to avoid, and unless you shoot it in like a really weird or really clever way, you're not going to get like too many kills like this. Really, you couldn't proactively use a Dragon Strike because it would just be avoided. It had to be used like when a team had either overcommitted to cut off their escape or punish them for their bad positioning mid-fight, or you had to use it in a grav or use it in some weird way where like it's clipping the ground and you can't see the animation. But it still damages you somehow, because I've never died to that. What do you mean? But yeah, no, this lets you be a little bit more proactive with the Dragon Strike. Definitely makes it a little bit more dangerous because I've taken a Zarya bubble and stepped into a Dragon Strike before, just like, oh, well, whatever. Yeah, it'll be nice to see how powerful it is. Junkrat,
I like it.
with his concussion mine minimum damage increased from 30 to 35. Why? Did Junk not do enough damage?
I guess, yeah. Drake and Dante did these changes. They also wanted the cooldown on concussion mine to be reduced from 8 to 7 seconds.
Junkratters just suggest.
Yeah, and they also originally, before this change was passed, he wanted the minimum concussion mine damage to actually reduce or to be increased from 30 to 60. He wanted the minimum, and that was voted down. And then the 30 to 35 change, only 5 more damage, was barely passed. It got 3 out of 6 votes, which was the minimum you could have to have a change passed. And then I'm also reading here they wanted Sigma and Zen to be able to be trapped. Are they not able to be trapped currently? Sigma and Zen?
Sig and Zen, they can be. Wait,
That's what I thought. So I'm confused by that, but whatever. The only change that actually went through was just a little bit more damage can happen on the because concussion mine has damage fall off. If you're right in the middle, it does a lot of damage. If you're far on the side, then it doesn't really do anything. But
yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's going to do a lot. I'm not sure it's going to do a little. That's kind of one of those ones where I'm not sure how this is getting. And there's so many changes that are happening simultaneously here that we just don't know how this is going to change the state of the game. So take anything we say with a grain of salt. But it's just adding some rationale to the changes that already exist.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to the Lucio changes, and I think I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
We have sound wave cooldown increased from 4 to 6 seconds. Why did they think he needed to boop less?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
What is boop ever not used in a scenario where you're like, boop, run away? Because you go for crazy boops in general, and anytime you're using a boop, it's either to back people up or to go for a flank boop, in which case you're running away anyway. You're not going to be sitting there in 4 seconds ready to go again. I don't know why people have such a hatred for Lucio boops when you have so many. Basically, Lucio boops are just, they don't do anything. You don't push people. They don't move.
True.
And then we have crossfade, which is his healing / speed boost. The radius was increased by 50%. Dope.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Fine. Make him if he does less healing than Brig, he should heal over a longer distance. Damn it. And the effectiveness is increased by 20% at close range, falling off to minus 50% at max range. I think that's fine. I think that's more healing the closer you are to Lucio. Not that that is gonna do much, right? Maybe this would have if the range was absurd, maybe this would matter, right? When Lucio was first implemented, where he could just heal as long as he had LOS. But I'm not. Maybe if that 50%, the radius being increased by 50% increases the area by I think it's 25%. So it's not covering that much more area. Sorry, no, I guess it would be a little bit more than that. When it's 150, it increases the area. I am getting a degree in mathematics, people. It doesn't. No, sorry. If you increase the radius by 50%, it increases the area by 125%. So that's a little bit more area. Okay. So maybe this will make a little bit more sense to have that extra area not, in order to have that extra area not like matter too much towards like saving people's lives, kind of balance out that heal buff. I guess I'm okay with it. I have a little bit of a for those of you that don't know, I love me some Lucio. And I'm defensive of my Froggy Boy. So while Mike fixes some audio stuff, I'll get on to talking about the next one. McCree had no changes. Apparently, they think he's in a good place. A lot of people who don't like McCree currently think that he needs that health buff taken away, but guess that one was voted down with all the DPS players. Then we have May, and her maximum ammo was increased from 120 to 140. An ammo buff, basically, I think that makes it so that she can shoot one more icicle before reloading, or just spray a little bit more. I don't think that'll do a whole lot, but we'll see how this is going. Then we're going to move on to the Mercy changes. The Mercy changes, we have Killing Blows reset Guardian Angel cooldown. What? were they like, is it Killing Blows from people you're boosting? Or you're healing, or is it your final blows? Like, I whipped out the Glock and I'm gonna get my final blow.
Yeah, it's the latter.
Oh God, why? Why are you enabling the battle mercies?
Bro, you don't want to see Neptuno.
Have one battle support, and it's Lucio. Damn it!
You don't want to see Neptuno get in.
Sorry,
you don't want Neptuno to just get value.
Neptuno is going to do what Neptuno is going to do.
True.
Moira gets no changes with her recent batch of nerfs with the ball and her suck. I think she's fine now. She's also not in a great place in the meta right now, so I think no changes is okay. Orisa gets her protective barrier health increased from 600 to 700. I think that's good. Orisa's shield is basically paper at this point and can be bursted down, especially with any shield break. It's on such a long cooldown that you're kind of forcing. But that, along with the Orisa headshot nerf, might make Orisa meta again. Evil Toaster, you're back in it, bud. Every other main tank, you hate your life again.
True.
And the other thing was the cooldown was increased from 10 to 11.
Yeah, whatever.
When you get on to like lower changes, like changing a cooldown from 3 to 4, like we did with Diva's boosters, or 4 to 3, whatever, is a much bigger change than 10 to 11. Like, unless it changes like specific rotations or mechanics, not really that big of a deal. Now we're moving on to
at that point, it doesn't really matter.
You're right, yeah. And
this one's interesting.
All right, yeah. So new passive. Damn it. Damage taken while airborne decreases by 5%, and damage taken while on the ground increased by 10%. So screw you, ground Pharaohs. Learn to fly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it screw you, ground Pharaoh? Because you do more damage on the ground now. You do 10% more when you're on the ground. So it's odd because it's kind of like a mixed message.
No, you don't take more damage. You don't do.
No, you do more damage when you're on the ground.
No, it says damage taken while airborne decreased by 5. Damage
you're right.
Granted increased by 10.
Is that something that they wanted originally? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. But basically, what this is telling me is screw the ground Pharaohs, fly forever. And basically, if you think about it, all this passive really did was just change all of her health to armor. Yeah,
true. Yeah, there was other things that they wanted to have put through. They wanted not only the 10% more damage when on the ground, they wanted 10% less damage received when in the air. So they wanted to really reward you for flying. And they also wanted environmental kills will automatically reload. An environmental kill will reload, not only automatically reload, they wanted it to have a new magazine that had dealt 150% damage. So they really wanted to reward you for Enviros, but those didn't pass. But I mean, I would have loved that.
I mean, you gotta feel like, because this was content for like the streamers.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Right? Like they're just gonna do some meme ones, and that's got to be a meme one, right?
For sure.
Reaper, Shadow Step voice line removed.
Oh, I love this. I love this so much.
oh, the Reaper's here! The Reaper's here!
Yeah.
The Reaper's on the team!
Yeah, this was I saw some people complaining about this one because they were like, "Oh, you're never gonna know when it happens," which you'll know less, but the sound itself of Shadow Step is still there, like the sound, the animation sound is still there. You just don't hear him yelling repositioning. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think that should make it to live completely.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. Soon also wanted the cooldown of that, by the way, to be reduced from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. That did not pass. So Soon just wants everyone to be a flanker. That's what he wants.
He wants a dive Reaper.
Yeah, that would have been fun. I'm not gonna lie.
In that case, can't you go in, shoot twice, wraith, and then just flee?
Yeah. Yep.
That's so dumb. There's no window to stop you.
Yeah. This Reinhardt one I love, actually, because a while ago, Reinhardt, as part of the sweeping CC nerfs that they had, his shatter duration was reduced from 3 to 2.5 seconds. And Super is obviously Reinhardt main, comes out and he's like, no. Instead of doing that, what you do is you make it so that the closer you are to him, the longer it stuns you, which I really like. I think that makes perfect sense.
It's like in radius, right?
Yeah.
So it goes from like 3 to 2.5 at max range.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's honestly something that should go to live. I think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of Reinhardt players feel like Shatter is useless because it pretty much is. And while half a second isn't a ton of time, it's still like
it's enough that people can be saved.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. And the other interesting thing is it used to be common knowledge that you would never stack grab and shatter. Now it's common knowledge that if you don't shatter into a grab, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because now your shatter is just like anybody who didn't die, we can finish off now. But yeah, I like that change. I think it's good. I think it'll make Reinhardt a little bit more rewarding to play.
Yeah, I agree.
No changes on Roadhog or Sigma.
Yeah, which so the Sigma one, there actually was a change, but it was the reduced cooldown from experimental barrier from 2.5 to 2. Went live anyways. And Roadhog, not only were there no changes, there were no changes proposed because Space basically said, I have no plans of playing Roadhog, leave him as he is. Which, I mean, just the Giga Chad energy of, I'm not going to do it, so why should I care?
Space's response was, I play Diva and Diva only.
Yeah, pretty much. I love it. The Soldier one. Soldier had a lot of interesting things that I'm actually not gonna lie, I'm a little bit sad that they didn't come through. So what did go through, Sabiel be also, when he's done playing Overwatch, if he doesn't go into politics, he's doing something wrong because the man is an expert negotiator, okay? So Helix rockets now have 2 charges, which honestly I like a lot. I think that just makes it a lot better. The damage
is also direct impact twice, they're dead, right?
Pretty much. Well, they reduce the damage from 120 to 80. So per rocket. So it's still, if you hit both of them, you do get rewarded, but if you only hit one, then you don't. The self damage was reduced from 40 to 20, which I also like, and the attack visor range was also increased, which feels like a very niche change. But what he wanted originally, so Sabiel, he comes out here and he says, okay, we're gonna Helix rocket. So the first thing he proposed was the 2 charges. Then he said, okay, Helix rocket, let's change it from 120 to 100. And that was voted down. Then he said, okay, 120 to 75. That was voted down. Then he said, okay, 120 to 90. And that was voted down. And then they gave him 80. So they could have had 75, but the man just negotiated his way to 80. And he also originally wanted the self-damage to be removed. That was voted out. But
well, the self-damage being removed would stop Helix rocket jumps. So
yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't know if this nerf will affect the height of Helix rocket jumps, but there's a few key ones that you can only make like some of the time, and this would remove it.
I do like though that, I mean, the change that Sabiel wanted basically was he wanted, which by the way, on the Reddit post, I would like to point out that every single time Sabiel is mentioned, his name is spelled differently. Anyways.
Say bye all bay.
He wanted, I guess, Soldier, to be able to yeet yourself around the map using Helix Rocket, which I would have been here for. That sounds fun. But yeah, no such luck, unfortunately.
Sounds like a meme, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, it would have been fun. I would have been down. Sombra oh man, Soon did not want Sombra to be played. Is what I'm gathering.
Oh my god, dude! Double the hack cast time, essentially.
Yeah. So Translocator, it has. I don't really fully understand what the Translocator thing. So that what it says is Translocator cooldown is triggered when used or destroyed, as it used to be, instead of on as you throw it, and the cooldown is reduced from 6 to 5. So I don't know why they would want that.
He wants to be able to fly.
Yeah. And then the hack, like Andrew said, the activation time, so the actual hack itself takes 1.15 seconds. But there should have been a but. The hack duration is increased from 5 to 6. Originally, he wanted it to be increased more. He wanted it to be from 5 to 7, which I really, honestly, I like, because I think that takes hack from a place of
as many hacks as possible.
Get as many hacks as possible to get value hacks, right?
And
because
also, it's also a little bit like the really high level teams, in order to set up hacks, will bait people and stuff like that. Like use a high noon, the Ryan has to block the high noon, you get the hack on that, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, maybe not use an ult like that, but whatever. But most Sombras, especially on ranked or even on ladder, you like even in like more like organized tournaments, are just kind of left to themselves. Like, get hacks, please.
Mm-hmm.
And like, or you like be a distraction, farm your EMP, right? It's like Genji's a blade bot, Sombra becomes an EMP bot because EMP is the highest fight winning ult in the game.
True.
So I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's going to be 1.15 seconds is a long time.
It's a very long time.
But, I mean, basically, and it can still just be canceled by any.
Yeah, which is just so easy right now to disrupt hack. Honestly, like
even if it just turns and sprays.
Yeah, or even I know I play a lot of Reinhardt, so whenever I hear a Sombra hacking me, I just do a 180 with my shield and it's interrupted. Like, it's that easy.
And there's a cooldown on the hack after it breaks. Mm-hmm. So you can't immediately hack it again.
Mm-hmm. The Sim one is interesting. So sentry turrets deploy faster, to be specific. They go from 15 to 20 meters. He also wanted, Alan Guy proposed these, he wanted photon barriers for the ultimate. If you walk through it as the enemy team, you get slowed by 10% for 3 seconds, which would have been very interesting because that would have made it basically take photon barrier, stick it directly down the middle of the enemy team, and they're CC'd.
It's already a pain in the ass to play on.
True. True.
Because it doesn't, because now that shields also block healing.
Yeah.
That's harder for any AoE healer. If you have Ana, Ana has to play on one side. Basically, I mean, from coordinated play, you and I both know if somebody throws a shield in the middle of the team, you just yell what side to play on, and just vibe.
True.
Until it goes away.
These Torbjorn ones again, Sabiel be coming out. Absolute mad lad. Mans has been playing. Mans has been playing just a ton of man versus machine as engineer in Team Fortress 2. That's a very niche joke that only certain people will get. But so Torbjorn can now deploy 2 turrets. Okay, 2 turrets. And the turret damage was reduced, but not. So it was reduced by 40%. So overall, still an increase in damage from the turrets. He also wanted to, this is where the mad lad just went off. He wanted it to be, so Rivet gun, Torbjorn's gun, he wanted it to not shoot. He wanted him to have turrets and nothing else. Which, oh man. Honestly though, this change was pretty cool because I think what it allows you to do is set up crossfires, and also it lets you detect flankers a lot easier, because if someone tries to get behind, normally if you were playing, say, Tracer, and there's a Torbjorn, you would just kind of position yourself on the other side of where the turret was so it couldn't hit you. But now you put one on both sides of wherever a flank would want to come from, and I mean, what do you do?
And also, I'm okay with the turret health reduction, because obviously it needs to be done with there now being 2 turrets instead of 1. But also, Torp turrets are like most of the time, if you're the one person on your team trying to take them out,
God,
you have a surprising amount of health.
Yeah, especially if the Torbjorn is just standing behind it hammering and you're yelling in VC, shoot the turret, please.
Hard work pays
off. Yeah, it's honestly, I think it's gonna make Torbjorn a lot more fun, and I'm really here for it. Obviously, again, these changes are only for the tournament, but
you know what would have been a really interesting change?
What's that?
Would have been if instead of nerfing the turret's damage, they nerf the FOV. So it can't shoot behind it anymore.
That would be really interesting, yeah.
Because then you could set up like make it like a 90-degree FOV. It can shoot in front of it 90 degrees, but you get 2. So you can set up like an area to like kind of overlook and delete things in. But also, if you want to kill the turret, you just get behind the turret.
I fully envisioned if that changed, which I thought that would be fun. I can envision like someone in our level, like, you know, plat for you, diamond for you, gold for me, whatever. I can envision some dumb Torbjorn player just putting them back to back and just completely defeating the purpose.
Well, then you just come at it from the side because it's only a 90-degree FOV. You can't cover the full 360.
True. Yeah, that would have been fun though. But yeah, I like these Torbjorn changes a lot. I think that's
I think it'll be
fun.
It's kind of a nice mix here. You have like practical changes, and then somebody just being like, "What if?"
Yeah. Oh man, Saviola, go into politics when you retire, my guy.
Tracer now. Tracer's health increased from 150 to 175. So she's just not the little skinny girl.
I like it.
And recall cooldown increased from 12 to 14 seconds. Okay, so now again with the cooldown, I'm just kind of like whatever. It's an extra 2 seconds of the fight, which I guess at the highest levels is going to matter. But they can stay in fights a little bit longer with the extra 25 health.
Yeah,
right?
I like it. I think Tracer a lot of the times
can't be one by a melee headshot now.
Exactly. There's a lot of things that on Tracer it felt like sometimes you just die randomly just because you only had 150 health, and it sometimes felt pretty bad. So I like it. They also, this is Soon and Sabioli proposed Tracer changes. They wanted the blink charges to go from 3 to 2, which was voted down. Which I don't know why you would want that, because that means you basically have 1 blink to get out and 1 blink, or 1 blink to get in and 1 blink to get out. But whatever, I don't know. It didn't go through, so who cares? Widowmaker. This was so Widowmaker. The Venom Mine is all she got changed. Her gun wasn't affected at all. Venom Mine, the damage was increased from 75 to 120. And duration was increased from 5 to 6. So it's more damage but over a slightly longer period of time. And the trigger radius was increased from 3 to 4 seconds. So there's Venom Mine buffs, which was very odd to me because Venom Mine is used to know if someone is flanking you. That's it. Like, that's it. So I don't know.
I mean, I guess this like prevents you. It's kind of like Junkrat's trap, I guess, right? Like, is meant like the trap. Like, if you get somebody, cool, but like mostly it's there to be shot. So the Venom Mine doing more, I'm just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna accidentally step on one and freaking die. So that'll be
great. Yeah, it is wild. He also wanted, by the way, Soon wanted he wanted the AR to have no fall off damage, okay? And he wanted there to be a global scope in sound. So anytime a Widowmaker scopes in, you hear it, which I mean, so if you play Widowmaker, you know that what you're supposed to do every time you walk is spam the scope button because it reduces the scope in the charge time by a fraction of a second, but like that's what you do. So if you ever see pros just walking around like constantly spamming it, that's why. It's not just to be cool, it's because it reduces the charge time so slightly. Imagine
sound.
Just spam that sound.
And they say
I would have been here for it. Winston, Gooseway came through and was like, you know what? All I want is to live a little bit longer. That is all I'm asking for. So Winston now, he just has 15 more armor, 15 less health. So 15 armor was shifted from health to armor. That is all Gooseway proposed. It was unanimously passed. He just wanted to live a little bit longer. God bless him.
What an absolute freaking Chad. All right. Sounds good. Who am I to argue with Gooseway?
Exactly.
Wrecking ball, dude. Wrecking ball.
These are interesting.
Size reduced by 15%. Tiny ball.
Yeah.
And then ammo reduced from 80 to 70. And grappling claw cooldown increased from 5 to 7. And adaptive shields no longer prevent enemies from generating ultimate charge.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're going to feed on ball, you're going to die and give the enemy all the ult charge.
Yeah. What this screams to me, honestly, is Ameng wants to be able to play DPS and Wrecking Ball.
Is he the one who was suggesting the changes?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
What an absolute maniac. I don't even think he wants to play ball at this point.
Yeah, true.
Oh, jeez. All right, Zarya, yeah.
This one is interesting. So the projected barrier range was increased from 30 to 34 meters. So basically you just put it on people further away, which I like because, I mean, it is very frustrating if you're playing Zarya and someone is feeding on your team and they're just barely out of range and you can't protect your feeding teammate.
It's a 4-meter increase and not like a 5-meter increase. Who was just like, you know what? You need exactly 4 more meters.
Yeah. And then another thing that was proposed but was already implemented was the exact, by the way, energy drain that was put to live from 1.6 to 1.8 per second. He proposed that the exact numbers down to the percentage point. So good for space. Someone hire him.
Somebody get this man a diva.
Yeah. The Zen ones. So all that went through for Zen was the transcendent speed multiplier. So how quickly you move was increased from 2 to 2.3. But in addition to that, Jonak also wanted, he wanted the projectile speed of the volley increased. So he just wanted Zen to be hit scan with volley. Then he also wanted enemies to take damage if they're in transcendence. He just wanted to be able to pop trance and run at the enemy team. That's what he wanted. I love it.
He basically wanted Zen's transcendence to also be a miasma that would hurt the enemy team.
Yeah. So again, the only thing that did pass was the speed increase, but you gotta appreciate Jonak.
There was some
buff my main. Yeah, you gotta appreciate it, honestly.
You know what? I'm here for it. For it. That's change. I'm hype about them, but I don't see a lot of these going to live.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so that was our quote unquote news segment.
Yep.
When really mostly it was us just talking about these freaking mad lads.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if I guess we should mention really quickly before we move on from this, you can play the changes in game from March 22nd to March 29th. Sign-ups to the tournament if you want to play are going on now. And the tournament itself will happen from March 26th to March 28th.
So at least you get some practice time on the new changes before anything. That makes sense. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we get the band back together to feed in round
just
one.
To get rolled, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe if there's some random team of golds out there you want to play in the tournament, maybe you get rolled by a pro player. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
If you land a shatter on some pro player. Yeah, land a shatter on a pro player, make it your pinned tweet for the rest of time. Go do it. Solo shatter super. Someone do that. Someone solo shatter super.
If you don't solo shatter J3, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the team previews. We got 4 teams to go through again, as we had last week. This week's first team is going to be the Vancouver Titans.
The Vancouver Titans, yes.
Yeah. So the roster is
largely unchanged.
Yeah, largely unchanged. A lot of people coming back. Shredlock is back on tank. Dalton is back on DPS. Rolf is back on support. The coaching is totally unchanged. What they did do is, so the tank Shredlock, I mean, whatever. He's not super impressive,
Shredlock, he hit number 1 on ladder a couple of times, and he has the skills.
He does.
It's his second year. He's got to put up or shut up.
Yep.
It's time ripping the kitty the training wheels off. Good luck, kid.
They brought in, formerly known as FRD from Atlanta. He is now known as, well, it's spelled FRDWNR. It's pronounced fried wiener. So
wait,
I'm not making that up. It's actually pronounced fried wiener.
You're messing with. I was not. Winner, maybe? No,
fried wiener.
All right, fried wiener from Atlanta. Who was a guy who didn't get a lot of playing time. Yeah. He was a little bit. He was competing with a couple other people for play time.
Gator or Hawk, I think, was the off tank.
It was Hawk, yeah. And he's primarily like a diva player. Plays a little bit of Zarya and Hog too. He's from Second Wind. And he's like consistent. He's like a middle of the pack guy. I think he's fine. I think he'll do his job there.
This could say that the coaches, because they were the Second Wind coaches last year, liked him a lot and they wanted him again. So, I mean, whatever. If you think you can get something out of him, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, give the man a shot. Yeah. Although they don't have a backup, so if he fails, they get the flounder for a bit. Then now on the DPS line, they had a big loss in the offseason where Shockwave, their kind of breakout DPS star, was poached by Philly. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine, I guess. Yeah. Sucks to be Vancouver. But to replace him, they picked up 2 new DPS. The first one they picked up was Teru from O2 Blast. Yep. O2 Blast is, for anybody who doesn't know, is this kind of like really prestigious team. They've won contenders a couple of times. They're all, really, you got good players coming from O2 Blast. He's a Genji, Pharah, Echo, Doomfist player. He was mostly on the bench in O2, but I'm sure he learned a lot while chilling with that team. And, I mean, he has a lot of expectations to live up to and has a chance to prove himself. So
yeah,
maybe this team selects DPS. We'll see how
honestly
it goes.
I like Terror a lot. I went back and for all the people coming from contenders, I tried to get some watch some other games, and Terror, he really impressed me. His Pharah was very good. His Genji was especially good. What stood out to me is I think Terror had, from what I saw anyways, obviously I didn't watch everything that Terror has ever done. I picked out a game that he was playing in and watched it. And he has really impressive mechanics. Like, mechanically, this guy is extremely gifted. He just needs some coaching help. He was in the wrong position a lot. He went overextended, tried to get some picks that he probably shouldn't have a lot. So I think with some good coaching, he could be, honestly, I think he could be a standout player with some coaching. He could be the next Shockwave, maybe. Probably not as good as Shockwave, but could be, the star of Vancouver if he just gets some coaching help. Because I think the mechanics are there. He just doesn't know what he's doing.
I mean, the issue in general with if you're a mechanical god, that's nothing special in the Overwatch League, right? Everybody has good mechanics. You have to be coachable, and you have to fit well into your position and do your job.
Yep.
And for DPS players, part of that job is click heads. So having mechanics is like barrier for entry. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we'll see. He's obviously, if you've made the team, you had tryouts, they put you on the team, you had to have seen something. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're a scrim god like Zachary, or maybe you're somebody who walks out onto the stage like, I have the biggest dick in the world, and I'm going to make Carpe look silly.
Yeah, which he may. We can't say certain that he doesn't. So
yeah. But the other pickup that they had on the DPS line was Linkser
from Houston.
I know that you are a big Dinkser fan.
I am. If you can't tell by the magnet right here, I'm a Houston Outlaws fan. But yeah, I'm really happy Linkster's getting another opportunity because I mean, Finland's gift to esports. When he's on, there are a few people that are better than him. I mean, if you need proof of that, go back and watch from the All-Star weekend last year, the Widowmaker 1v1. Linkster just decided he was going to show up that day and just rolled everyone.
The thing, though, is he doesn't always decide to show up. And so when he's on, he's crazy. Mm-hmm. But when he's not, he's an active detriment to his team.
Yep.
And sadly, recently, it's been shifting towards the latter more often than not.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, though, he ended the season well with Houston. Not that really matters because Houston was garbage last year. I think, he had a good end to his season, which if you're a Vancouver fan, that's what you want to see. You would rather that a player on your team ends the season well rather than starting it well. So I'm glad he's getting another opportunity to prove himself, stay in the league, and hopefully he makes the most of it. But I think with Linkster, it's a lot of motivation stuff with him. He just doesn't feel the grind.
He's engaged. He's got to make some money for that wedding. Let's see.
Married man meta. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, if CBLB's ever shown anything, it means you could pop off and then disappear into obscurity.
Yep.
So we have Linkster there. I think he's going to be, honestly, I think he's more of the veteran presence on the team, trying to get them to that Overwatch League level as somebody who's been there, done it, and can teach the younger players how to act in this and perform at this level.
Yeah, he is an Apex winner. He did win Apex, so he knows how to win. So
100%, can't even argue with that. But the other last DPS that they had was Dalton, he was okay.
Yeah, he didn't really impress me.
He popped a few times, right? He tries to carry. He's mostly a kind of flanker player, very reminiscent of Soon, plays Tracer, Genji, Sombra, basically likes to exist in your backline and make some really crazy high mechanical plays, but is not always consistently bringing value to fights. So we'll have to see if he gets coached up this year, because the coaching line is mostly the same.
Yep.
Still the same guys from Second Wind. I think they added one extra person. I think it was up at the support level, though, so mostly the same staff. And to finish out the Vancouver Titans, we have their support line here. Mm-hmm. Returning is Rolf on the off-heel role. Mm-hmm. He's a bit of a veteran, but last year he underperformed.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, it's something like at the Overwatch League level, having been in the game and being so well respected for so long, you'd think he would be doing better. It may have just, I don't know if it was his team, the environment, the coaching, whatever, but just wasn't up to snuff. So hopefully he's grinded in this offseason, back up to it. Show us why you deserve to be here, Rolf. We've given you so many chances. We want you to be here. Show us. We believe in you. Do it. And then they bring in, for the off support, main heel, Fire from Atlanta.
Yep.
Who was, along with Fried Wiener, I hate you, was essentially a bench player for Atlanta. I mean, when you got Masa on the Lucio, and you're not getting playing time.
Yep.
But he's a Lucio Mercy player. He obviously was on an Overwatch League team. He was on Atlanta, but really didn't play, so we don't really know how he's going to perform on this level. He did well when he was on Team Envy and Contenders, but hopefully does well. This is a chance for him to prove himself. Maybe he can, him and Rolf can get their shit together. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Definitely a show me year for Fire. I honestly, a lot of these people on Vancouver, Vancouver is not expected to be a good team. I'll put it that way.
I'm not thinking they're going to be any. They might maintain their hold on the middle of the bottom of the pack.
I'm expecting Vancouver to be second worst team in the league, and we'll get to the team that I think is going to be the worst team in the league a little bit later. But the big problem for me with Vancouver, the big problem with me for Vancouver is the rest of the league has improved so much, and Vancouver really didn't.
They filled spots.
Yeah.
And you needed to do better. Unless, like they got granted, they were thrown into the league in the middle of the year with these players who definitely wanted a shot, but maybe weren't quite ready. Nothing hardens metal like fire, and they were thrown right into the crucible. So
true. Yeah. So I think the big thing for Vancouver this year is they're going to be bottom of the pack, but at least I think. I could be very wrong. I thought Valiant last year was going to be bottom of the pack, and look what they did. But I think Vancouver, their best spot, honestly, of moving up a bit is, look, we see it every year. There are going to be teams that fall apart and have internal strife and just cannot perform. And if you're not one of those teams, you can move up the pack a little bit. And if Vancouver can keep their heads on their shoulders, just be consistent, maybe they move up a little bit.
Don't implode 2 years in a row. Come on, you can do it.
Don't do it.
That great state-of-the-art stadium in Canada.
Oh, God.
A training facility,
Oh, man.
Use it,
Family Esports Center. Oh, bro. But yeah, Vancouver, don't expect a lot, Vancouver fans. I'm sorry.
But
yeah.
We could be wrong.
Yep. Let's move on to a team that I do expect a lot from, though, and that's London. I think London has had a very good rebuild this past offseason.
London dumped their entire roster.
Mm-hmm.
Their star rookies, Glister, all of them, gone. Yep. Bernard, bye. Have a good one. Mm-hmm. A lot of them didn't even re-sign, which is a little sad to hear because there's a lot of people on that team who I felt like had promise.
Yeah.
But they rebuilt. They took their entire full Korean roster and then decided not to continue being full Korean, which we really haven't seen go the other way.
Instead, they went full Western on top of that. Mostly European.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Comparatively. But most teams, the wisdom has been go the other way, damn it. Yeah. But let's take a look at what they got here. They have on the tank line from the British Hurricane, their academy team, Hadi and Molfig, who were good.
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah. Molfig is
pre-existing synergy. This is
yeah. Obviously British Hurricane, if you know anything about European contenders, British Hurricane just destroyed everyone for a couple of years.
They roll.
Yeah. And that's not to take anything away from British Hurricane, but it also does have to do with the fact that European contenders isn't very good, and so British Hurricane was kind of just the best team. Period. Like they didn't really have competition.
In the European region, you played on British Hurricane. That's where Astro came from. That's and if you name Shredlock, if you name a good British player, they most likely spent some time on British Hurricane.
Yeah,
and specifically talking about like Hadi,
Hadi is good.
He's been shown to play well in Dive and in Brawl comps. He has existing synergy with Molfig.
Yeah.
The only thing he has to do is elevate his play to Overwatch League level, but he shouldn't be struggling that hard. He's been playing at the highest level of contenders for a bit. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
And Molfig is the Diva and Sigma player, and he's consistent too. And, he's not this flashy player. He does his job. He plays the firefighter Diva, right? He goes putting out fires left and right. Supporting his main tank, does his job, is a good player to have, like, is the backbone of your team. I'm hyped about this main tank and off tank duo.
Yeah, Molfig is definitely a part of the new wave off tank players who were former DPS players. It just seems to be a common recurring theme we're seeing in a lot of new off tanks. They were former DPS players. So yeah, Molfig is solid. Hadi is the real prize here in the tank line. Hadi is very good. His Wrecking Ball especially is incredible. Like, this man just popped off in European contenders.
Is he aiming?
Is he aiming? That is always
is he the literal Yada Chad? I don't know.
We'll see. But yeah, I think Hadi is extremely impressive. His Orisa is solid. His Reinhardt is solid. But the ball, you're hoping for a Wrecking Ball meta if you're a London fan, because Hadi he's scary good at Wrecking Ball.
I mean, currently Wrecking Ball is still really strong. Yeah. Not if those nerfs in the experimental patch go through, but Wrecking Ball is still real strong right now. So we'll have to see how it goes. We're kind of, the meta still hasn't formed yet, but I've seen a lot of rush comps with Ryan Zarya, Ryan Diva, and stuff. But I've also seen Ball and Echo Dive, which is terrifying to hear from me.
Yeah.
You're just going to see people just getting dove and deleted left and right. We'll see though. But that tank line, solid, awesome.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at their DPS line. You want to take a look at this one first, Mike?
Ooh, I like this line a lot. I think, honestly, this is the strong point of the London Spitfire. They bring over Blase from Houston, which I think it's a solid pickup. Blase's, like you put in the notes here, it's time to prove what he can do. It's time for Blase. He's been around the league. He's shown streaks of brilliance. I'm thinking particularly last year when we had the Hack Fist meta. Blase was a big reason Houston was really good in that meta. His Doomfist is phenomenal. He was put on off tank on Boston for a while for some reason. Very flexible player.
Boston was a train wreck.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much he starts. I think obviously the Doomfist is Blase's big, but I mean, when you look at last year, he was either really good or really bad. When you looked at Houston at the beginning of last year, for some reason, Blase was playing McCree, which that I'll have a rant on that when we get to Houston. But yeah, he's really, really capable on some heroes and just kind of mediocre in others. So it's an interesting pickup. But they also bring over Hybrid from Team Doge. Team Doge, if you're unfamiliar, is where Kevster played. They were kind of the meme team of North American contenders. They just came around and just destroyed everyone.
And what I've heard from people who are really big into contenders is,
yeah,
he's like a hit scan player. He also played the Echo, which a lot of other people on the team don't play. But you know, he hasn't really impressed a lot of people. But he made the team. Maybe he's been grinding.
Yeah, I think the big problem for Hybrid here is, unfortunately for Hybrid, the LA Valiant fell apart, and they were able to sign Shax, who is just better than Hybrid. There's no way around it. He's a better hit scan player than Hybrid is. So
you know what's really funny though? Whenever I think Shax, you know what hero I picture?
Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Shax. God tier hit scan player, this capable veteran, more than enough chops to carry a team. Throw him on Reaper.
Yeah.
Die, I'm dead.
Yeah. Shax is definitely a good pickup. He was definitely one of the better players. Well,
and I'm glad he escaped the collapse that was the LA.
Yeah, I'm glad he found a home because he definitely deserves it. He's definitely good enough.
Veteran player, looks like he's going to lead this DPS line.
Yeah. I think he'll be your full-time hit scan and Hybrid if there's a double hit scan meta. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Hybrid is like a really good, I'm just making something up, McCree. Maybe he's a better McCree than Shax is, and that's where he'll come in. But I think most of the time you're going to see, I think most of the time you're going to see Shax and Blase until Sparker becomes eligible on June 10th. So he's ineligible until June 10th, but Sparker is insane.
17-year-old kid doesn't need the Adderall because he's hyped up on those endorphins, and absolutely insane Tracer and Ash. If you've watched any of Contenders Gauntlet, the man dominates. So sorry, the boy dominates.
Also a really good Hanzo. I went and found a VOD from when he was playing for Hurricane from before the Gauntlet, where Hanzo was really meta, and so Sparker, what stood out for me is Sparker not only has just insane mechanics, insane ability on the hit scan, the Hanzo, people like that, he also has really good game sense. He was taking a lot of flank angles, a lot of off angles, but he was doing it at like almost the best times he possibly could every time. He knows when it's okay for him to flank and when it's not.
Yeah, and like targeted, like off angle pressure.
Yeah. Sparker is really, really, really good. Very
young
big
prize.
prize.
Man, you can't compete with time.
Yeah. So basically, if you're a London Spitfire fan, count down the days until June 10th because I think.
I don't think I'm not sure if he'll be the savior if they're going terrible. If it's going terribly, but he will definitely be able to elevate this DPS line. The DPS line is looking relatively solid here. And we go from quite possibly the best part of the London lineup to quite possibly the worst part of the London lineup, support line here, who they pick up, first of all, Ripa, who was on the British Hurricane, but was also formerly on a bench player on the LA Gladiators. Hopefully has improved since then. He has some existing synergy with Kellex, of course, Kellex being the main support player that they picked up, again, from British Hurricane. But Ripa has, he'll probably be a consistent flex support, has a possibility to pop off, but really hasn't shown this in any chances he's been given yet. So he's been working on his Zen down in Contenders. Let's see if he can, give him the chance as a starter, as the only off support on this roster. Not up or shut up, man. Let's go.
Yeah. This is really British Hurricane have been taken from Contenders and put into Owl. That's what London Spitfire is. And on top of that, the coaching, if you look at the head coach, it's the same reprise was there last year. Commander X is still there, but Fisher was the head coach of British Hurricane. He was brought in as an assistant coach. So, if you're London, you're looking to trust that British Hurricane wasn't just feeding off of a weak Contenders scene and is actually just a really good team. And we'll see, because I think if anyone on this team was feeding off of Contenders EU being a little bit weaker, it was probably Ripa and Kellex, if we're being honest. So we'll see, but having their head coach come over as an assistant coach, Fisher, I think is good for these players who are in British Hurricane. They trust him, of course. So I do like this London team, though. I do like it.
Particularly Kellex is the weakest point. He's been on a few Overwatch League teams. He has some kind of veteran presence. But every team he's been on, he's not been a breakout player, even on some pretty crappy teams.
Boston.
I know what you mean. They're just on stage. His Brig and Mercy play have been okay, but you're not going to be a flashy player on Brig. And Mercy's not going to be meta anytime soon, I don't think, unless you get some really big kind of nerfs to shields or hit scan buffs.
Or Pharah becomes meta for some reason, but
or Pharah. You might get a Mercy on an Echo, but you can pocket an Echo just as well with a Zen and a Discord.
True.
And I mean, he's nothing special. He has to step it up this year. He's had some shots. If he doesn't step it up this year, I think he needs to. You can't cut a kid. Sorry.
I think London, they'll be middle of the pack. With potential to be upper middle of the pack. That's how I look at London. If British Hurricane was just a really good team and not just feeding off of a bad Contenders scene, they could be top 10.
Could be
in the league. Maybe higher. If I think this team, it's worst case scenario, middle of the pack. Best case scenario, if some things really go right for this team, they could be competing for some tournaments if they get the right meta. The potential is there. They just have to prove that they can do it, basically.
You know who doesn't have any potential?
Oh, boy. The Los Angeles Valiant have announced their rosters, ladies and gentlemen, and it is terrible. Well, I'm just going to say that up front. It is terrible. I'm tempted to show this on stream. I won't, because you're not going to get anything of it. So we have the show notes that Andrew and I both read off of. I have like my own little notepad notes that I keep track of. And today I was going through, I was looking at all the new people coming up from Contenders for all the teams we're talking about today, being like, okay, who's good? For LA, legitimately, it goes from, London, I have Hottie, Mulfig, Hybrid, Sparker, things to say about all of them. LA, then the next team. I had nothing good to say about anyone on this team.
I had to go out of my way to find something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we'll go through it quick. We have a guy named Silver3.
Yep.
Who is a Ryan Winston Orisa Chinese player who didn't play last year.
Yep. From a contender team called The One Winner. So basically, before we get too deep into this.
Yeah, The One Winner is going to show up a lot here.
Yeah. Basically, the LA Valiant is from 3 teams. It's The One Winner, it's from Ultra Prime Academy, and a team called Flag Gaming. All from Chinese contenders. All not amazing Chinese contenders teams. They were kind of middle of the pack consistently in Chinese contenders.
Or maybe even retired, like
Idodo? I don't know how you say that, but literally, he was retired for 2 years. He has not played since 2018. Why are they signing him?
And it's a no-tank player.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you just we have 2 main tanks. We're gonna just pick 2 retired players.
Yeah. Oh, this team is it's just painful to look at, honestly.
And then we have the misspelled Shou Chang, not Snow Chang, as I'm what? Who I'm going to read you my notes about this. So it was, he plays DPS. What? Genji Doom Sigma Zarya Echo player?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, so he was announced as a tank player. I went back and I found a VOD of Flat Gaming actually playing against Team Cat, who's going to come up a little bit later. But anyways, oh my god, this man was not only not good at D.Va, which is what I saw him playing, he was the worst part of Flat Gaming, in my opinion. There was a time, so I was watching through this VOD, and they were just getting stomped by Team Cat. Just humiliated. Silver 3 was feeding. Shou Chang was looking pretty lost. So I'm watching it, right? I'm going to give you my thought process here. I'm watching it. I'm looking up at the top of the screen and say, okay, Shou Chang has a D.Va bomb coming up. Maybe he can get some value out of that. I'll keep watching this until at least he uses his bomb. He used his bomb when 4 people on his team were already dead, and it was to remech. Why?
Hey, you want some 600 ult charge? Here you go.
Oh my god. Oh man.
And to continue the dumpster fire.
Oh god.
Their first DPS signing is Crystal.
Oh my god.
Crystal!
Yeah. So Crystal was on. This was actually something we talked about on the old Overbite podcast. Crystal was on the Hanzo Spark, and then he just disappeared for a while, and everyone was like, where'd he go? No one knows anything. It came out that literally it got to the point where Hanzo Spark released a statement that was like, yeah, we don't know where he is either, to be totally honest with you. Comes out, what was he doing, Andrew?
So there was a buster clock there, but apparently he had told the team that his mother was sick and in the hospital and he needed to go back to China. So they were driving him to the airport. His mother's in Beijing. He had a ticket to Shanghai. Was playing some games in Shanghai. You know who was in Shanghai? His girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
Who, And he kept lying. He's just like, oh, my mom had to be put in the hospital, as opposed to just her being sick and he had to spend some days. Lied to them for weeks over, had DMs with the organization where they were like, look, this is what he told us. And eventually they were just like, look, we've suspended him indefinitely and we're in litigation for breach of contract.
Unreal. Why would anyone take a risk on this guy?
He lied to his last org. He straight up said, screw you, I'm not playing the game anymore. So I can't. I move on because I can't process this right now. Who is the next mother?
The next DPS player is Molan Ran, also from the one winner with Silver 3. Also very unimpressive. He's their flex DPS player. I had nothing good to say about him. You know the old saying, if you have nothing good to say about someone, don't say anything at all? That was me with the LA Valiant in my notes. I couldn't find anything good.
You know what I have to say about this DPS lineup?
What?
So the support lineup is Hybe.
Hybe from the one winner also.
Who? He played. So literally his Liquipedia page. The known heroes, D.Va, Zarya, Sigma.
Yeah, which isn't even, it's not even a Shou Chang thing where at the end of last contender season he started playing often. He was literally a tank for the one winner up until the end. Up until the most recent video I saw, I watched a video from October 2020, okay? The end of Gauntlet. He was on tank. And now he's announced as a support player for the LA Valiant. What? Not only that, they only have one other support.
I think he just went to his home in China and just just grinded up his Lucio and his Mercy and his Brig, because apparently he's their main healer.
Mm-hmm.
And because their off healer is some guy named Waya?
Yeah, Ultra Prime Academy.
WYA from Ultra Prime Academy. The only thing I have on him is that he plays off healer.
Yep. I, again, watched some stuff of him, looked very bad. Not just, so these players, they didn't look like, I think they'll be bad in Owl. That's not what I'm saying here. They look bad in Chinese contenders, okay? They looked like some of the worst parts of their team.
It looked like you picked some random dude out of 4,100 rank and were like, you can play here.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, Uber had a great tweet storm about this. It's been retweeted on the Overbite podcast Twitter, and also if you want to go at Uber Shouts is Uber's Twitter, where he just went in on Immortals Gaming, the team that, or the organization that screwed over the last roster and sold this team. There was a great, the meme out there that people use. I think it was from the March on Washington protests. It's a sign that says our expectations were low, but what the fuck? That is the LA Valiant in a nutshell. There are some good Chinese players out there. Dia is a free agent, which it did come out that Dia actually turned down an offer from Valiant because he has worked so hard to build his stock back up. He didn't just want to take the first team. Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to be stuck on the team for a year. Good try.
Yeah, there are some good Chinese contenders players out there. None of them made it onto this team. Maybe they all turned down offers. I wouldn't be surprised in the least bit, honestly, if players didn't want to play for this team, because this team, I mean, it's kind of like signing to Boston of last year, right? The team's not going to be good. You're hoping that you can come in and just show off what you have, but why do that if you don't have to, right? Wait out a year, playing contenders, build up your stock a little bit more, you'll get an offer next year. This team is bad. This team is really, 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 really bad. Remember how we said after season 1 that we would never have another team that would never win a game? Well, I would be surprised if LA Valiant wins a map. I'll put it that way.
You know what? We just need to move on. I'm so checked out of this team at this point. I'm so disappointed. Unless it just randomly comes out that these retired players have been grinding off stream for a year and a half and are now absolute gods on their role, and they're rolling in scrims. I don't care about this team anymore. It's just going to be a free win for whoever the hell is playing.
It's going to be sad to watch.
They're in APAC.
They're in APAC too.
What the hell? My God. Okay, moving on. Next team. Last team for the day.
Which we reward you, Andrew, for getting through the LA Valiant segment.
Thank you. So, as we talked about, Mikey's a big Houston Outlaws fan, but if you couldn't tell by my hat, I'm a huge Nixel fan.
Mm-hmm.
I literally... First team I ever followed in esports super closely. I love this team. I love that team from 2018, and they just broke my heart with these Cinderella failures.
Yep.
For these massive chokes for the next 3 years.
Yep.
But I still loved that team for the crazy, unexpected, ridiculous runs that they put on in that first season. And this offseason was a bit of a heartbreaker for anybody who has that kind of same mentality as I did. They released a lot of their roster.
All but two of the players are new. Yeah.
Yep. So the releases, for anybody who didn't know, Haxal and Who Are You, who were kind of picked up after their other teams weren't dealing anymore. Were I think Who Are You retired, and then Haxal
he went to Valiant.
Who Are You went to Valiant, and then bye.
I think Haxal is also now in, or not Valiant, sorry, Valorant, the game.
Valorant, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you, but that doesn't sound right. The other players were Sabiolbi, who is now on Seoul.
We'll get to them, and I have some thoughts on that, but we'll get to that.
Animo. I don't know where Animo went.
Also on Seoul.
Also on Seoul? Cool. Good for him. And the biggest heartbreaker for a lot of people, Mono, got traded to Philly for somebody who actually I'm not all upset with.
Yeah.
But NYXL had more DPS than anybody else, so much so that I think their plan was, if we have all of the Genji players, you can't have the Genji players.
Yeah.
Too bad there's a lot of people who play Genji. But they also released Hotba and Mandu off of the tank line. Hotba was an actual detriment to the team. If he wasn't straight up throwing, he was often just not in the right place. And Mandu never played. So
yeah.
Oh well, bye. I guess when you have Animo as your main support, you don't play Mandu over him. And then the last two who went were Nene, who had all this hype coming into the league, was a really, really good Zarya during the GOATS meta in Season 2, never really lived up to his potential. Especially there was a whole lot of potential for him on this kind of team. I'm sad it never panned out, whether he was misused or just like couldn't live up to the hype. I don't know, but I'm really sad that never panned out. And one that hurts me a lot is Libero, who is just this, you ask anybody, they're like, Libero's plays whatever. And he's good at it.
He's still unsigned too, which was surprising to me, but yeah.
Insane. And, as long as he still wants to play Overwatch, I think they should let him play Overwatch.
I agree. He's
so good at the game. He whips out a Hanzo, he's good. He whips out a Widow, he's good. You put him on anything, he can play it and he plays it well. But that was the old team. We're moving on with the new now. They lost a captain in SBB, the main tank Mano, really, really hard. But the new main tank that they picked up is Yakpung. And you might remember Yakpung because he had a brief stint on the Toronto Defiant. Was kind of like a more like middling, didn't really impress very much. But since then, grinding his butt off in Korean contenders. So much so that behind people we talked about last week, such as Mag, he's usually considered like the third or fourth best main tank in Korean contenders. Really the only true like competitive contender scene left. Because NA exploded, and without the British Hurricane, I don't think there's a EU contender either. I guess China exists. But we have O2 Blast here. Was the team he's coming from. He looks great. I think he's going to be a good replacement. He has a big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Was the bedrock of the team, just silently carrying a whole bunch of games. Like during the GOATS meta, he got a whole lot of stuff and he got a whole lot of recognition. But like even in other metas, Mono was just like, I mean, it's not me.
Yeah.
But Yapeng has big shoes to fill. But I think good place.
I went and watched some stuff for Yakpung because I had only remembered him from the Toronto days, where, like you said, he wasn't super impressive. But what I saw was that his monkey has gotten just insane. His Winston is probably, of the rookie class of main tanks, probably the best Winston of all of them.
You're not going to be Guzwe, but
well, he's not a rookie, Guzwe.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying you're not going to. That's why you had to clarify.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. His monkey really impressed me. Also has his Reinhardt. I think has always been fine. I don't think he really had a lot of opportunity. Yeah, I don't think he really had a lot of opportunity in Korean contenders to show it off because Reinhardt wasn't played a lot during contender season. But
his ball was pretty freaking good though.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So I think Yakpung is definitely a strong pickup, especially for a team like Nixel. It likes to play a little bit more. They like to kind of. I don't want to say. Yeah, they're a passive team.
They're
And I
the
think
you make mistakes, we punish team.
yeah, which I think Yakpung does very well. So I think that fits in very nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, they did try to transition to a more aggressive style last year, but they've always been that patient, strategic, wait and pounce kind of team. And I agree that he'll fit into that pretty well. His off tank is Bianca, who was one of the returning players. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time.
Yeah.
He got promoted. They kicked out Hoppa. They kicked out. I think they had another off tank as well. Maybe not. But they kicked out Hoppa at least, and we're just like, you know what, Bianca, it's your team now. Do it.
Yeah.
And he was decent. He was less than when he played in contenders. He was on a less than stellar team. New York was always okay last year, and so even when he got to play, he was fine. It wasn't like he was winning games. But
I think honestly, it of everyone on the team, I think Bianca feels like the biggest gamble for no reason other than it's only him. He's your only off tank player.
We have no backup.
Yeah, if Bianca doesn't perform, I don't know what you do, honestly. I mean, Meko is still out there. Bring Meko back.
Right, because he got released from Houston, right?
Houston, yeah.
Was he on Valiant? I forget.
No, he was on Houston, and from what I've heard, Meko was asking for too much money. But yeah,
to be fair,
yeah, yeah. So
but I mean, Nixel this week got Kevin Durant is one of the part owners of Xbox now. Is the parent company of Nixel? Just use some KD money, pay Meko some money. Come on.
True.
I guess they got New York subliners to worry about too, and there's another pro team that Xbox has now too. I forget, but regardless, tank line looking okay. DPS, some of the most interesting pickups of the offseason. Like when I saw some of these, I was just like, "Who?" And then I went and I went, "Okay." So I guess we'll start it off with Feather. Spelt in Leet speak. Who's a flex DPS coming out of Korean contenders. Capable on almost every hero. He's like super, super flexible. And specifically, his Echo is thought very highly of. And Echo is really, really strong, and I think they were expecting her to stay strong. So, especially because we haven't seen very many changes with it. So yeah, I mean, decent pickup there. We also have one of the big acquisitions for them. It's who they got for Mono. Was Ivy from Philadelphia, and Ivy is a nutty player.
He's very good.
I don't know your opinions on him, but
he's very good.
Flexible, he's versatile. He plays everything to a pretty high level. He plays May, he plays Hanzo, he plays he plays Farah. He has all these the classic flex DPS role. He's got on lock. We're good.
True.
If you're gonna replace Libero, Ivy's a good replace.
Yeah.
Go with it. Now for some more of the people who I was kind of like, who? Flora.
Yeah. Flora's a hit scan player.
He's a bit of a mystery though. No, don't know too much about him. He didn't get a whole lot of playing time even in like contenders.
I
don't think he's going to be better than the next guy we're going to talk about.
No, I think he's here for a double hit skin meta or McCree. His McCree is very, very, very good, and that's definitely his signature hero.
I also had some people tell me that his Sombra is one of the best. Yeah, which is weird because Sombra's more of a tracking, and you were saying that McCree.
Yeah.
Either, but
So he's probably just here for a double hit scan meta because they brought up a Guangbong from Team Cat. All comes back together from the Valley.
Butter, dude.
Guangbong is very good.
Guangbong click heads. He's not well known, but basically anybody who knows about him loves him.
Yep, he's very good.
He clicks head, and especially on sniper characters, on Ashe and on Widowmaker and on these kind of like more like sniper like angle based heroes.
Mm-hmm.
He is something to watch. And his team, he played in Chinese contenders, and his team made a little bit of a push at the end, mostly on his back.
Yep.
He was throwing up these crazy performances. So
yeah. From the game I watched before, that was between the one winner and Team Cat, Guangboon was just solo carrying a lot of the fights, just because he'd go out there and get. Like, it seemed like he was getting 3 picks every fight. The man is insane. He's so good. Which
is awesome for the fact that basically he's going to punish the bad positioning of anybody, and that's what Nixel does. Nixel looks at your positioning, sees you step a toe out of line, and goes, "You're dead for it."
Yep.
And I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And now we're moving on to the support line, and we're going to start with who New York is building this team around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They released. They took the barn, kicked all the animals out except for the cow, and they said, "This is now a cow farm, and this is our stud, and he's going." And that analogy fell apart so fast. But they have Jonak, stayed on the Octopus King. The God off healer, who was a little bit of a disappointment last year.
He was.
If we're being completely honest. Mechanically, still one of the most gifted players to ever play the game. Has reaffirmed his commitment to playing Overwatch. Has said he wants to play Overwatch, wants to play it at a professional level. And so, what are you going to do here? They're going to build the team over it around him, and I mean, he takes so much resources. You had all these other players who were also kind of fighting for resources, but now I think they're just going to be like Jonak pop, where we'll do other things. We have everybody else there to ensure that you're going to pop, especially if there's a Zen meta or an Ana meta. You don't got to worry about Jonak. Jonak's the Jonak thing.
For sure.
Depressing to see him on Moira. Not gonna lie. And his back piece was also really good. So just anything but Moira, please. I don't want to see the off healer with one of the most nutty aims in the game tickling people. I want to see it. Something I want to see.
No.
Big sad. But the other person they brought in, who again is the other one who's kind of like whatever, or like a bit of a weird one, is the main healer to replace Animo, who's Friday. So Friday's from OZ Gaming. You have any opinions on him, Mike?
Honestly, it was really difficult for me to find any footage of Friday playing. I was searching for a while. It could be because he has such a generic name. But I mean, I was even going through the OZ Gaming VODs. I couldn't find him playing most of the time. So I don't know.
Apparently he was nothing special in contenders.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, man, this guy Friday, right? Like he's killing it. Main supports are hard to come by. I think you take that, and apparently he has to have some decent synergy with Jonak. So
yeah. I'm assuming this is someone from their trials that impressed them. So if you trust Why Not and the rest of the coaching staff at Nixel, I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm not sure I do trust them, to be totally honest.
But I think I'm not sure if it's them, but hopefully their thought process, which is the one that I would have gone with, is Jonak's an aggressive support player, and you need somebody who's on board with that.
Yeah.
Somebody who's just like, I'm going to know that I need to pocket your ass. I can't leave you by yourself. I've got to enable you to do the kind of crazy stuff that's going to get you, that's going to get us some awesome value that we know you can do.
For sure.
So hopefully they have some decent synergy and they're going to work well together. That's something I felt like they were lacking when they made that switch from Arc to Animo. Was Arc's job was power boost Jonak in season 1.
True.
And pocket Jonak. That was his job, and like everybody was on board with it. And then we got to GOATs and kind of the subsequent metas, and it was no longer Pocket Jonak. It was Animo, do your thing, keep everyone alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never what New York was about, and not what the game plan was. It wasn't why Jonak was there.
Yeah, true.
So we'll have to see how this all pans out. But overall, I'm optimistic. I think that this team, they're hinging a lot of their bets on some kind of unknowns, but if they pay off, this could be a team to reckon with.
Yeah. I'm less optimistic about this team, to be honest.
I'm 100% biased, so let's get your unbiased opinion here.
I think you have some good pieces. I think Yakpung is good. I'm not sure I trust Bianca that much. I think you could have done a lot better. Just with who's out there and who we know is available. I think there are better off tanks that you could have found. The DPS line, I think, will be solid. It'll be good, but the support line as well.
Friday is really the only one there.
Friday is alone, and if he doesn't succeed, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of it comes down to for me, honestly, with Nixel is, like I mentioned before, I'm not sure I trust this coaching line because they've had opportunities in the past and they've just never done anything with it. I mean, the classic Nixel sandbags in season 1 meme.
Big sad.
Sure. Yeah. I would not at all be surprised if this team proves me wrong and they go out and they're dominant as they always are. But for me personally, I think this is the worst Nixel has ever been on paper, at least. And
on paper, I agree. But they looked really, really strong last season on paper and did not perform. So, and I mean, even season 1 on paper, they did not look like they would be the team to beat. And then they ended up to be the team to beat. They were beaten, sadly. But they did change up their head coaching. So their head coach is, I believe, he got demoted to head of data analytics.
Really?
Who's IMT, yeah.
I see.
And their new head coach is Why Not. I don't know too much about him as a coach, but hopefully a fresh perspective.
That's what I really think that Nixel needs that, because Nixel, like we've talked about, have been known for being a kind of conservative team, a team that, you know, like Andrew said, they punish mistakes, they don't go aggressive. And I think, honestly, that was the total wrong approach to have, especially last year when you look at the people on that team. You just got the impression that none of them naturally played like that. And the coaches didn't recognize that and tried to shoehorn them into a style they didn't like. So I think having a fresh perspective of someone who maybe will be more willing to take risks and go aggressive is probably a good thing.
Well, it's a fresh perspective with a fresh team.
True.
So I mean, they're building it from the ground up here. There's a lot. It's kind of it's a big gamble. If it pays off, I think this team could be absolutely cracked. If it doesn't, then they're going to crash and burn like every other season.
I think this team is one of the ones I look at that's the range of where they could fall is so large. They could be a top tier team, or they could just totally shit the bed, be not bottom of the pack, but like lower middle tier. I could see them being easily. So we'll see. This is one that I'm more interested to see. There's a reason the game isn't played on paper. I'm very interested to see what this team can actually do. I think we'll know pretty quickly where this team is going to fall, to be totally honest. And we'll have to see, because I really don't know. I don't know what to think of this team.
I think it's going to be interesting to place this team in my power rankings, if I'm being honest. Between my personal bias and the absolute range that this team could perform over, I think it's going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to have a hard time justifying wherever the hell I put them.
Yeah. I really hope this team doesn't fall apart.
I'm just going to throw them at the top. Screw it. They're one. They're going to win. They're winning everything.
I hope this team doesn't fall apart, though, because I think if this team doesn't perform well, honestly, I'd be surprised if you see Jonek again. because, like you said, he had a down year last year. This is, for a lot of people, you get 2 chances. And if you can't prove on the second chance that you deserve to be there, you're not going to get a third chance. That's very rare in the Overwatch League. So we'll see.
Unless your name is Chris. Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Overbite podcast. Make sure to follow our Twitter at Overbite Podcast. It's the same for Twitch, so you can watch live at Twitch. There's no at in Twitch. It's just twitch.tv. Twitch.tv/Overbite Podcast. Go to the description of the show or the Twitter bio. Join our Discord. Subscribe to our YouTube, where there will be a video this week.
Hopefully. Apparently we had some audio issues at the beginning of the stream, but we could do some better.
The audio is not reliant on the Twitch stream. We have a separate for that, so that'll be fine. I can fix the video in post for sure. But
perfect.
Make sure to subscribe. If your podcasting service, Apple, can have reviews, leave us a review. If you're not listening on an iPhone, you can't do that, so don't bother. But make sure to subscribe.
Definitely check us out on Anchor too.
Yes, listen to us on Anchor, not at Anchor.
Anchor.
Anchor.fm/Overbite. You can be the first one to listen to us on Anchor, and so do that, and it helps us out as well if you listen on Anchor. So much appreciated if that's where you're listening to the show. And we'll be back next week with more team previews and any news that we happen to get, which is what the podcast is. So you already knew that.
Congratulations, you've described what we do. And don't worry, the teams next week won't be the LA Valiants. It'll be a lot better. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Overbite is hosted by me, Mikey Palacios Boffman, and Andrew Finelli. You can follow us on Twitter and Twitch, Andrew at @sharp_FPS, me at BrotherEarth_, and the podcast at Overbite Podcast. Make sure to look at the links in the description of the episode to subscribe to our YouTube and join our Discord server. If you want to be the first to hear new episodes, make sure to listen on Anchor at anchor.fm/Overbite.